one that it could rein in if it stepped out of line. And this is because of the lessons that they learned during the Vietnam War, when heroic journalists were able to go right into the conflict area and report freely without fear or favour. And their hard-hitting reports brought the uncomfortable truth about the disaster that was the Vietnam War into the homes of Middle America, and that's where the war in Vietnam was actually lost, in American homes rather than in Vietnam itself. So there was no way that the White House or the Pentagon were going to allow independent journalists to wander freely again around a war zone, reporting without restriction or censorship. So much for the land of the free. The war in Vietnam, as far as the US military was concerned, was an absolute disaster, and as I say, they were determined that that wasn't going to happen again. So the concept of the embedded media came up. It's a relatively new practice, and it was seen as an ideal opportunity by the Bush administration to use, abuse and distort the news. As a result, television and print media toed the government line during the outbreak of shock and awe. This revelation is supported by a new study which revealed just a couple of months ago how strongly news coverage of events in Iraq was influenced by the political climate in different countries. And the study was based across news coverage in Britain, America, Czechoslovakia, Qatar, Germany, and South Africa. According to the research by the Bonn-based media institute Media Tenor, the influence of the war coverage was often reflected in whether a journalist concerned was embedded or not. I mean, we all know that the American media was embedded, but the German media wasn't. And the freeness and frankness with the German media seemed able to portray the war in Iraq was quite different to that of their American colleagues. The research focused on the thematic structure of news coverage at the beginning of the war. For instance, during the first week of shock and awe, military action was the focus of attention, and we saw journalists portraying the war machine of the Americans and the Britons rather like a giant video game.